W.V. Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. W.V. stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Howdy, everybody. I'm JR, host of West Virginia Uncommon Place. You heard the intro. I got to experience something in life that I never thought I would get to experience, not through my eyes, but through the eyes of Stacey. In the last few weeks, her parents have learned of a few declines in their health, and they're learning how to embrace with that. And it's kind of sad because you see your heroes, and they're still your heroes, but they're not the same strong heroes that you have. And for me, obviously, we know the story about my father. If you don't know, go back and listen to previous episodes about my father. He passed away in 94, but it's the problem of the parents of not being eager to preserve themselves that is haunting and is somewhat a thing that makes you angry and kind of makes you just like want to grab your parent and just be like, hey, get a hold of yourself. I'm here for you. Let's, do what we do. Let's be the person we got to be. Let's do what we need to. And to me, it's just like, why don't they care enough, or why don't they put a lot of passion into wanting to be healthy? And I think like the way that it rings for me is like this, like, I know if my father were still alive, I would do everything I could to preserve the adult time that I could have with him. And for a parent to their child, or for a child to their parent not to want to preserve that time, that's one thing I don't understand. Now, dealing with my mother's had 2 strokes, so I've gotten onto my mother very tight about her health, and I tell her, you need to go to this appointment, you need to do this, and that, you need to take care of yourself because, you got a grandchild out here that wants to see you, there's people out here that love you and they continuously want you to be here. And I don't see any of them having an issue of the sense of like, I don't want to be here anymore, but it's like they don't care about their quality of life on certain things. And I always just tell people that, you should care, you should have a DNR, you should have things planned. So when things, happen, or if something goes astray, your family has a framework to work with to take care of yourselves. And that's something that Stacey and her sister are dealing with now. And me personally, like, I don't want to sound selfish or anything, but I'm kind of glad that I'm never glad about what happened to my dad, but I'm glad that that's one hardship I will have to deal with my mother, but I'll have my sister for that. But I won't have to deal with my dad because I know that, like, with their dad, you love both your parents, but, you're one-sided on certain things with certain parents. And I know me personally, if my dad were still alive, obviously favor would be for him and my mother, but I may have a better favor with her or him. Whichever one is really my favorite parent, that's the one I'm going to be the most scared for. I mean, we love both our parents, and they always say that we're not supposed to have a favorite kid. But, and you're not, they're not supposed to have a favorite, but they do have favorites, and they just don't tell us. So like with me, I think all I really wonder, like with my mom, is, we have certain things already enacted for her so that there aren't any issues, there aren't any problems when it comes time to deal with her. But if something else were to arise, I want my mom to know that we want her to be able to function at her optimum pace, which whatever that is. And shout out to the people at Pace that help her. And just to me, I just, I don't want there to be any type of issue of her thinking that I didn't care at the end of the day or something like that. But I want the best for my mother. I want the best for any of my friends' parents too, or anybody's parents when it comes to something like this. You don't want to, have to deal with this later and not have a plan, not have a strategy. So this episode right here is basically just talking about this one little entry in life that kind of, got me riled up a little bit there. And with me, we don't do these shows too long, just enough to throw a little thing out there to get your mind thinking. So once again, I am JR, and please like, subscribe, follow us across any podcatcher that you want to listen to us on, interact with me, Sparrows Under Review, or the interviews and session show that I do in any way or form facet you do. And it is greatly appreciated. British lady, take us out of here.
Please follow W.Va Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.